real people are in real trouble. You know, when I was growing up as a kid in Harlem, McDonald's was a periodic treat. I'm telling you, for lower income households, it's becoming that way again. And yet the Federal Reserve probably doesn't even know about it. Maybe they don't care because economists always use an aggregated data, right? They put everybody in the same pot and say we're too strong. It stands to reason, though, that if Mickey D's is hurting and Coca-Cola is hurting and Starbucks is hurting, then maybe we're in a lot of trouble. Take a look at Starbucks. This is what's intriguing for me. Same store sales were down 3%, transactions down 7%. So, yeah, they raised prices, but it was not enough, right? So this is the problem. If you did go there and you were barely making it, the stuff costs more, but people aren't going there. And remember yesterday, that consumer confidence number, all of this feeds into this. And I have to bring this up again because if you look at this is the expectations. It is falling off a cliff. Look how far back you have to go. We haven't felt this worried in a whole long time. Let's bring in Heritage economist Peter Sayanajan. Peter, you know, there are two Americas, right? And one is getting pounded while the other one is getting richer. And why doesn't the Fed factor that into their decision making?
Yeah, absolutely right. They work with aggregated numbers. They're looking at the economy overall. You know, this is the essence of central planning. And once you dig into the numbers, that's always where the tragedies are. So as you mentioned, the poor are cutting back on Coke and McDonald's. Meanwhile, Molson Coors, they just came out. They said that things are going great. They've got a lot of growth in the pricier beers as consumers treat themselves. So you've really got this K-shaped economy where you've got a lot of cash at the top. People have tons of money. You got the TikTok videos of people, you know, sitting on the beach in Bali enjoying it. And then you've got a lot of pain for the rest of people who are struggling to keep up with inflation, really.
So, and it's ironic because, yeah, these folks who have the money, in part because they have assets that make more money at higher rates, are spending it, and that adds to the inflation equation. So, you know, yeah, hotels are doing phenomenal, casinos are doing phenomenal. We know that. Yep. So where do you see inflation? How do we get inflation down? Because when inflation reared its ugly head initially, everyone said, it cures itself. Higher prices are the cure for inflation. Well, that was about 4 or 5 years ago, at least 3 years ago.
Yeah, there's been a long transitory inflation here. It's been a couple of years now. And in fact, it looks like it's reaccelerating. So that is really the big concern. You know, we had this stagflationary read just about a week ago here where we've got a slowing economy. We've got inflation taking off again. And the problem there is that, you know, the way that inflation enters the economy, the Fed does not have helicopters that it dumps money out of. The way that it brings money into the economy is pumping into the financial markets. And they hope that it trickles down, but that takes a long time. The people who first get the money, right, you have stocks soar, corporate valuations soar, housing soars, of course. And then years later, right, you had some numbers on wages finally starting to catch up. Years later, it trickles down to everybody else. But in the meantime, they've been dealing with the inflation. Right. So really, the way to fix this, the way to fix a lot of problems in our economy right now is to get down the government spending, right? Biden is proposing $7.3 trillion now. That would be almost $3 trillion up from what Trump was putting out there pre-COVID. So that's $3 trillion in what, about 5 years there. And not only is that bringing in all these new taxes, you know, we're talking about 45% rate on the capital gains. They're floating this unrealized capital gains tax, which would be absolutely insane. But beyond that, that is what's keeping the inflation going. It's what's putting the Fed into this no-win situation with inflation accelerating, even as you mentioned consumer spending is dropping off.
And Peter, before I let you go, I want to make a point with you and the audience because you've made this point before. Because of so much government spending, they are pushing out the private sector. In the JOLTS report, we saw it there. The only area in JOLTS that gained jobs or job looking are the government. And yesterday in ECI, you should see how much workers for government are getting paid. And then the day we got construction spending, private construction, how bad are they pushing them out? Single homes down, multifamily homes down, lodging down, office down. The only thing that was out was amusement parks. Folks, if the government is sucking up all the oxygen and the money in the room, there's nothing left for the private sector. Peter, my friend, thank you so much.